So the situation with the Indiana Fever is kind of crazy because if you guys don't know, what has now happened is that you are eligible, if you make an all WNBA team, you are eligible for a max contract before the end of your rookie deal. So if you are making an all WNBA team, you are eligible for a max contract after 3 seasons, which means that everybody planning for the Fever, saying, you know what, oh, the Fever can do this, and this, because they have Kelsey and, or say not Kelsey, geez, they have Aaliyah and Caitlin on rookie deals. It's no longer the case. Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are no longer Aaliyah Boston's not on a rookie deal. Caitlin Clark's off a rookie deal a year early. Paige is off a rookie deal a year early. And there's a lot of things that this means, as well as that you're caught between a rock and a hard place when it comes to drafting, because you don't want to draft because of, again, how much the young players are getting paid and the lottery picks getting paid, you don't want to draft a project. But at the same time, it's not even about wanting to draft a project. It's that if you draft somebody that's too good, they get off their rookie contract too early. So, Aaliyah Boston making the All-W team last year was a disaster. Could actually be a disaster for the Indiana Fever. So what we have to talk about right now is the fact that it's not can the Indiana Fever afford to keep Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell together in 2027? The question is, they can't. The answer is they can't. So the Fever have to make a big decision. And I've said it was Kelsey Mitchell deserves to run it back with the Indiana Fever. And I'm like, look, it's not the end of the world if she goes, because they still have the amount of money to give her a max contract next year, and the odds of her leaving then is kind of low. And then they can give her a max contract, and then when Caitlin comes, she can go. So they got 2 chances. The Indiana Fever, the Indiana Fever now have to make decisions for the future. They have to make decisions for the future of Caitlin, for the future of Aaliyah. Because by re-signing Kelsey Mitchell right now, you're basically saying that we're giving it this year and that's it. We're giving it this year and that's it. After this year, it's over. We're finito. We're going to have to freaking find something. Find something else, because there's no young assets. It's tough to get free agents. And if this was a front office that I actually believed in their ability to recruit, I would be higher on this. This isn't a front office that can recruit well. This isn't the front office that drafts well. This is a bad front office. This is a front office that recruits purely based on who people know. This is a front office that doesn't recruit overseas. This is a front office that is going to sign old players when the league is getting younger. This is a front office that, in general, people are like, okay, we're at the stage now where it's what exactly are we getting from the front office? So obviously from the latest proposal, this is from Megan Hall, just a tweet here. With the accelerated rookie contract, the Fever need to completely rethink their strategy. Should be eligible for a max contract, along with Kelsey Mitchell being eligible for a supermax core. It is now at the stage where coring and trading Kelsey Mitchell, there is more benefits to coring and trading Kelsey Mitchell, because what can you get by coring and trading Kelsey Mitchell? I'm not joking when I say this, because of the way things are going. A Dallas Wings, you might be able to go and pry that number 1 pick off Dallas. If nothing else, you might be able to go and get that, get their 2027 pick and the Aces 2027 pick, which are big assets. Both of them are big assets. You can go to Dallas and say, okay, cool, because Louisa Geisel-Suter is a reserved free agent, which means that her contract is going to be somewhat cost controlled. So you might go to them and be like, look, Louisa Geisel-Suter is the perfect center to play, or the perfect big to have beside Aaliyah Boston, because she's kind of mobile, a decent defender, and shoots the shit out of the ball. So I'm like, you bring in Louisa Geisel-Suter. If you're able to trade for Louisa Geisel-Suter, you offset some of what Kelsey Mitchell brings by bringing in Isaiah James, who, by the way, is she's not Kelsey Mitchell, but it's a like for like. She's not as good as Kelsey Mitchell, and I'm not making that comparison in terms of actual impact, but I'm saying in terms of stylistically, you're looking at a correct swap. So even if you don't go to number 1 pick, if you get the Dallas Wings 2027 pick, the Aces 2027 pick, Louisa Geisel-Suter and Isaiah James. And that's probably the going rate for a Kelsey Mitchell type player. And it also means that if you're wondering, you're like, oh yeah, Dallas can't keep that. It's like, I think Dallas have like very well could go and keep that. It means Paige plays the 1, which is a little bit of a negative, is that you don't really want Paige playing the 1. But if you're Dallas, you look into this year and you're like, okay, so we're going Paige, Kelsey Mitchell, AZ, Maddie Siegrist, and then we have big money in free agency that we can get a max big. So like we can look and see what's happening there. And like Jonquel Jones, like the likelihood of Jonquel Jones being available becomes high. So it's like, okay, we can get Jonquel. And suddenly it's like, oh shit, we're not putting together a championship team, but like we're putting together a very, very good team. And if you're Dallas, you're like, okay, yeah, because Dallas don't have the luxury of, there's a lot of negative things when it comes to Dallas. So they have a lot, there's a lot of good things in the future, and it's purely based on the fact they Paige in the 1 pick. And they're going to use it on easy foot because of the way things are. Like, that is a trade I think both sides might consider making. Another team, a lot of people have been talking about Washington. I don't personally see why Washington will make that deal, because for the Fever to make a deal with the Washington Mystics, they would probably have to include the 4 pick and one of Citron or Kiki Iriafen. And I don't think Washington make that deal, because I don't think either of those ascend to all WNBA level on their rookie deals. So they got 3 more years of them on a somewhat cost-controlled contract. But like if either of them become available, you make that trade. Obviously, when it comes to Chicago Sky, if basketball was all that mattered, you would make the Angel Reese trade. You would if you're Kelsey Mitchell. But like for non-basketball reasons and just the bullshit that's going to go with that, you don't make that trade. But for purely basketball reasons, you make that trade. 100 times out of 100 for purely basketball reasons, you make the trade. You go and get Angel Reese. I'm just trying to think as well. The Liberty don't really have anyone. Like the Liberty aren't going to trade for Kelsey Mitchell anyway. They don't have the cap space. The Seattle Storm might fuck about and trade 3. But like I don't really think that there's much at 3 that the Fever short term anyway are going to like, because they are still going to try win with their big 2, like of Kelsey Mitchell of Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. But all in all, I'm looking at all this and I'm like, for the Indiana Fever to realistically to win a championship, it's not about the Indiana Fever mortgaging their future for 1 year, basically a 1 year rental of Kelsey Mitchell, because Kelsey Mitchell's not going to be a member of the Indiana Fever in 2027. If Kelsey Mitchell is if Kelsey Mitchell is a member of the Indiana Fever in 2027, it means that the Indiana Fever have given up on one of Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston. Like, that is it. That is realistically it. The Indiana Fever will have had to have given up on one of Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston. And I really hope that they don't. But they might. They might. Knowing this, if there's any front office that's going to give up on one of these 2 players, it's the Indiana Fever front office. Because let's be completely honest, the Indiana Fever front office, they would rather just bring in a vet on the last. They'd rather give a vet a max. Like, for all we know, they could fuck about and give Natasha Howard a max. And because even though Aaliyah Boston is eligible for the Supermax, what's happened there? She's eligible for the Supermax. There's no guarantee she gets it. So even though she's eligible for the Supermax, she might get the Supermax. They might just say, you know what, like, it's only the Indiana Fever that can give her the Supermax. Or not even a Supermax, that can give her the max. So they might literally just be like, we'll wait till the end of your rookie deal. Then I don't know what's going to happen. So do they become, like, nobody's ever been refused a trade as a core or a restricted free agent in the WNBA, as far as I'm aware, in the history of it. Players have chosen to sit out in that scenario. So would they piss off Aaliyah Boston to the extent where she could leave instead of giving her the max, so that they can try it? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's like, that is, for me, that's a big risk. And that's the risk the Fever are taking. If you keep Kelsey Mitchell, if you keep Kelsey Mitchell, she walks for nothing at the end of the year. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. I hate to say it, but like, absolutely, it is what it is. Probably the best way to describe the situation. Like, it is what it is. She leaves at the end of the year, you have to replace her with a free agent that costs significantly less. But the fact is that at the same time, you have you have that ability to replace Kelsey Mitchell. You have the ability to get assets for Kelsey Mitchell. You have the ability to get young players on cost control contracts. You get draft picks, to get future draft capital for players that are going to be on half decent deals. Like, you have all of this ability to get in more players. The problem with all of this now is that if you're the Indiana Fever, you basically have to, I'm not going to say sacrifice the title this year, because the Aces have to give up one of their big three. The Liberty have to give up one of their big three. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Like, we're going to be seeing players as good as Kelsey Mitchell not get maxes. Teams are going to really struggle when it's all said and done. Like, when it's all said and done, teams are going to be giving good players non-maxes, because New York are going to lose one of their big three. Seattle can't keep their team together. So, Seattle can't afford Gabby Williams, Nneka Wimke, and Skylar Diggins, and Ezzy Magbore. They can't do that. The Fever can afford to keep their team together this year, but it's guaranteed losing Kelsey Mitchell. And the thing is about this new CBA, with the way things are going, and a max being a higher percentage of the total cap, especially with core years being 1 year, are you proactive when you have two 24-year-old superstars and plan around them long term, or do you pray that the two 24-year-old superstars can win at 24 years old, but shut your window for the next 2-3 years after that, and then hope that you can build a team when they're 27, 28 to go at it again? Or do you make a trade now that pretty much guarantees them to be still a contender, maybe not a favorite, but still a contender this year? And as the years go on, and as these young players and young assets grow, they become a favorite. So instead of making them a championship level favorite and then dipping, do you halt the trajectory a little bit in order for it to keep rising and rising and rising? And I do think I'm on the phone. I am on the phone to the Dallas GM, and I'm trying to build some sort of a trade around guys. I stand by this. Geisel Suter, you go for those, because if you've given them Kelsey Mitchell, they're all in. You're taking the 2027 pick, and you're taking the Aces 2027 pick. You're taking the two of them, Geisel Suter and Isaiah James, for Kelsey Mitchell. I think that's a trade Dallas will make. And I think that's a trade that makes the Fever, I'm not going to say it makes Fever better, but when you've got a cost-controlled mini Alana Smith, like Alana Smith Light at center, who is one of the most underappreciated players in the league, and Louisa Geisel Suter, when you've got Isaiah James, who I do see an not quite Kelsey Mitchell upside, but I see that all-star-ish level Kelsey Mitchell type player upside. I see her being the best sixth player in the WNBA, and that elite shot creator that the Fever need if they're losing Kelsey Mitchell. I see Isaiah James being that. And then you get those two 2027 picks, which are big. It allows the Fever to still use this year's pick. And if I'm the Indiana Fever, I'm not opposed to going and maybe stashing the pick, or stashing one of their picks, maybe taking somebody. If Nell Angloma's there, if you don't think she's ready, go stash her for a year and wait till she is ready. I'm not opposed to doing something like that if I'm Indiana. But at the end of the day, I think if you can get the right deal, not only do you have to consider trading Kelsey Mitchell, you got to pull the trigger. You've got to pull the trigger. If you, absolutely, if you get, if there's a good offer for Kelsey Mitchell, it's not even, again, a situation, it's not even a situation where it's do we consider it? Because people are like, it's the number one priority. The number one priority should not be getting back Kelsey Mitchell. The number one priority should be building a long-term sustainable team around Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, because they're 24 years old. They're going to be your max contract players. And the fact is that you can put yourself in a good position, or you can put yourself in a bad position. This is a team that doesn't draft well. If you look at the Indiana Fever's drafts history, realistically since 2019, I can't even, who did they draft in 2020? I'm just going to look, let's just look at 2016 WNBA draft. The Indiana Fever are notoriously bad at drafting. So in 2016, the Indiana Fever drafted, Tiffany Mitchell's not a terrible pick, but that was when they were half decent. So since they've been bad, they had no draft pick in 2017. In 2018, they drafted Kelsey Mitchell, good pick. Genuinely good pick. But it was the number 2 pick, and it was a It was a Aja, Kelsey, obvious 1-2. Then after that in 2019, they had the opportunity. I'm going to list out the players. They had the opportunity to draft Katie Lou, who wouldn't have been a great pick, Arike, Fee Collier, or Alana Smith as the next picks. They chose Tiara McCowan. In 2020, the Indiana Fever had the third pick in the draft. Players on the board in 2020, even to an extent, Kit Laxa was there. Phoebish, Geiso Suter, if they wanted to stash somebody. Kennedy Carter was on the board. Ty Harris was on the board. Not a great draft, but they drafted Lauren Cox, who I don't even think made it to her second season. In 2021, they had the fourth pick and they drafted Kaiser Gondrzick. Like, they drafted Kaiser Gondrzick with the fourth pick of a draft. That's terrible. In 2022, they had 3 first-round picks. And, like, they had the opportunity to take Shakira Austin. They took Nalissa Smith. They took Emily Engstler, who, by the way, I would fucking love to have Emily Engstler right now. And they cut her after a year. They had Veronica Burton's on the board. Ray Burrell's there. And they took Queen Egbo, Lexi. Lexi's been a good pick. But again, Lexi's been a good pick in hindsight. But she was garbage her first 2.5 seasons in the league. 2023 draft, they take Aaliyah Boston. They have the 7th pick in that draft. Miher's on the board. Jordan Horston's on the board. Jordan Horston was expected to be like competing with Aaliyah Boston number 1. She's still on the board at 7, and they take Grace Berger just to cut her. In 2024, they took the perfect pick in the second round in Celeste Taylor just to cut her. Like, they actually took a player that would have helped them. And in 2025, KK Timpson was the right pick at the time, but like, KK Timpson's not going to be anything. She doesn't have the feel for the game. At least short term, she's not going to be anything. So yeah, look, the Indiana Fever are going to, if the Indiana Fever keep Kelsey Mitchell, they're going to have to be an insanely good, savvy recruiting team, which they're not. As in, finding your Monica Cole-McCannies, finding your Kit Laxas, finding your Kat Westbells, finding these fringe players that are killing it overseas. Like, for example, convincing Clara Lundqvist or Clara Holm to come over and giving a little bit of money, maybe a second round pick to Phoenix to get her rights. Going and convincing Elena Buenadiva to come over. Pauline Astier is like, I think she's born 2002. I think she's Caitlin Clark's age, but like, she'd be like she'd be the level of like a late first round pick. Like, convincing Pauline Astier to come over, who's one of the best players for France. Convincing Valou Ayayi to finally come over. Maybe if you can convince someone like a Marine Foto or Raquel Carrera to come over, and obviously you might have to give the New York Liberty something in compensation for either of those two players for their rights. But you've got to be going out there and trying to find these players. Like, we've seen it with Dallas, even what they've been able to do with bringing in over Louisa Geiso-Suter. We saw what Liberty did, basically getting Phoebish as a throw-in player, and Phoebish is one of the most important connective pieces in the entire league. She's like, if the Indiana Fever replaced Kelsey Mitchell with Phoebish, I think they'd be championship favourites. That's not knocking Kelsey Mitchell, but like, Phoebish is that good. So yeah, that is the video. See you guys.